Hi everyone, just wanted to make a video updating my current situation with my platelet count, and to add from my latest video, which would have been in April I believe, where I brought my platelet count up naturally from 107 in March to 207 by April 5th of this year, and I did it all naturally. I didn't have to take any steroids or anything like that. I'd had a crash earlier in early part of February where I had to take dexamethasone, and a month later here I was with a crash again, and I didn't want to take any more steroids. I didn't want to take any prescription drugs, and I was like, okay, I need to find a solution here. And I dove online. I read all kinds of articles to see if I could have like an aha moment or something that could help. And I did come across some excellent articles, and two of them, one was about overhydrating with water, and the second one was talking about electrolytes. And so I combined that weekend, and I stopped drinking as much water as I was because I was drinking excessively, and I also added Pedialyte, an electrolyte drink that you can find at Safeway or your local pharmacy. I buy the unflavored version, and it's a 1 liter bottle. It's usually about $10, and I have about half a liter to a liter for several days. So I buy a couple of them, and I'll drink them in consecutive days. Between those two things, it helped to get my numbers up. If you want to see my previous video, I go in detail a little bit more about that. I wanted to update on some of my platelet counts since then. After April 5, which was around the time that I did my previous video, which you'll find on my YouTube channel, I did a blood test on April 16, and my numbers continued at 207, which is great. My range tends to be from about 175 to about 210 or so. Throughout April and the beginning of May, my numbers started to come down a little bit. They were in that 160 range, which is still fine. It's above that 150. By May 6th, my numbers had come down to about 116, and by May 15, the middle of May, they're at 105. So I found myself in the same situation as I was at middle of March, where my numbers were at 107. And so a little bit obviously of worry, where it's like, oh, I don't want my numbers to come further down. Let me see if naturally I can find a solution here. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I've already been through this. I've been fortunate my numbers came up naturally with a couple things that I believe had worked for me. And so I did that again. I wasn't overhydrating as much daily as I was in the past, where I was drinking glasses of water throughout the day, even when I wasn't thirsty, and urinating quite a bit all throughout the day, which potentially, according to the article I'd read on Healthline, you're urinating quite a bit and you're releasing a lot of electrolytes. And so those are minerals that you need for your body. In all kinds of processes, including I would think for platelets. And by adding electrolytes, you're then replacing and restoring those, and your body can then take care of all the processes that it needs to do, because it's not deficient at that point, in terms of what I understood and what I read and what I think happened. So at that point, I continued with that, as well as adding some supplements. Not adding supplements, continuing some supplements. And that's what I wanted to add with this video as well. So on May 15, they're at 105. By May 20, I had them at 120. May 25 at 158. May 29 at 163. June 3rd at 187. And today, or the latest exam at June 24, I was at 196. So I got them back up to my normal level again. I was relieved, very happy that, again, I was able to do it naturally. At this point, again, I'm not overhydrating, I'm not drinking excessive amounts of water, and so those things aren't leaving my body and leaving me deficient from minerals and other things that I need, because I'm urinating excessively, drinking too much water. During the time that my numbers were at, I just have some notes here with my test scores. Around that 105, 116 at the beginning and middle of May, I started drinking quite a bit of electrolytes, Pedialyte. That helped, I believe, quite a bit. Also, I was on the pdsa.org website, which is the Platelet Disorder Support Association website. They've been very helpful. The founder who started it, she wrote an excellent book called Wish by Spirit by Joan Young, which I highly recommend. I got it on Amazon Kindle. You can also buy a hard copy there. Very inspirational book. She was able to naturally also overcome her ITP, her low platelet count. It's an excellent read. She overcame that prior to the age of the internet. I believe it was late 80s, early 90s when she got ITP, and she couldn't understand what was happening. She was bleeding excessively, and she was able to turn things around by incorporating certain changes in her diet and her lifestyle. So I highly recommend that book. Again, it's Wish by Spirit by Joan Young. She was the founder of pdsa.org, which is also a great website with forums with those that have ITP or low platelets, and they discuss all kinds of solutions, whether it's medical treatments or medicine and different strategies that have worked for them. I like to go into the natural solutions forum where they talk about natural solutions that are helping their platelet numbers to go up, and their ITP to be diminished and to relieve that. And on there, I had read someone had talked about probiotics being something that had helped them quite a bit, and that they saw their numbers come up naturally. Unfortunately, I don't have the member's name, even though I should. They discussed probiotics, specifically this particular brand, Renew Life. This particular probiotic, as you'll see here, it has 80 billion bacteria, which is helpful for your gut. There's 30 capsules in there, so you just take one in the morning, you put in the fridge, and I take that after breakfast. The company's called Renew Life. It is a little more expensive. It's around $50 Canadian. But I found once I started taking this, going to the bathroom was a lot easier. And I found when I first took this the first month and I stopped, I said, okay, I think, my intestines and my stomach should be okay. My numbers started to kind of come down a little bit. And so I was like, okay, maybe I need to be on this longer. And so I haven't stopped. I got it again. I went on it. I'm on it daily. So this is, I guess this is my third bottle at this point. And so I'm just going to continue on that for a while. It's got quite a bit of the bacteria in there, which is helpful for your gut. And they say that your immune system is in your gut. And so I find that to be helpful. And that forum member, which I'll be very thankful for, mentioned that anytime that they took this particular probiotic, the Renew Life, the 80 billion bacteria strain, that it helped their platelet numbers come up. And so at that time when my numbers came down a second time, I saw that and I'm like, oh, let me just get it, let me see what happens, and I believe that had helped. I'm also taking a mineral supplement called EMP Power by True Hope. It's an essential mineral power, and it's like a multi-mineral, multivitamin. I take it daily. It has essentially all these great vitamins and minerals. I don't know if you can see that, but everything from vitamin A, C, D, E, all the B's, calcium, iron, phosphorus, iodine, magnesium, zinc, boron, selenium, copper, manganese, chromium, potassium, citrus flavonoids, grapeseed, choline, ginkgo biloba, and a host of other vitamins and minerals. And it's a daily. I take 2 in the morning after breakfast and then 2 at lunch as well, daily. I started taking this 4 days prior to my numbers coming down on March 19th. So my numbers were at 107 at that point. I started taking this. I'm on my second bottle. My third bottle of this one. I'd found as well that when I stopped taking this my numbers would also start to come down. And so, you know, I'm just making sure that I'm on top of it and being disciplined, and taking that daily as well, and making sure if I'm starting to run out, I get another bottle, and I continue with it daily, and I continue with that discipline, because it seems to help. My numbers, you know, have been good since. They did come down that second time now that I'm discussing, when they had come down in May at 105 again, but I was able to get them back up to the latest blood test on June 24th, which was 196. So that was another supplement that had been helping, and I wanted to share. I'm also taking Monolaurin. The Monolaurin supplement, they come in pellet form, like these little small pellets, and you just take a teaspoon with every meal. So I take that 3 times a day. The Monolaurin I've been taking since last year in January of 2019. I went to go see a naturopath, which I discussed that this bioresonance practitioner that I went to go see here in Vancouver in January of 2019, and I went a year without any platelet crashing. And I had taken the Monolaurin, was one of the things they recommended to me, and I took that for 3 months. So for 90 days I took it. And I attribute last year, I think, to Monolaurin. And I went a full year after taking that for 3 months. So February, March, April. And I went to blood test monthly after that, after my numbers were fine. They stayed strong all year. And then January 2020, my numbers came down again. And, you know, that for me was obviously a bit of a surprise. I thought, oh, I've gone a full year. Maybe this Monolaurin and the naturopath I went to go see with the bioresonance and the Monolaurin were clean my system of what I might have had, which we had discussed potentially. I had a mycoplasma, a bacteria in my organs, and the Monolaurin had cleared it up. Well, I went to go see him again after I had my platelets come down again in March 19 of this year. I had seen him, and I asked him, okay, do I need to take more Monolaurin? We had done some bioresonance tests, and he said, no, you know, you've cleared the mycoplasma from your body and everything, so you're fine according to what I see here. But I said, is it okay to take it again? He goes, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's an all-natural product, and so that's fine. And so I've been taking it since, 3 times a day. I try to be disciplined with every meal, morning, lunch, and dinner, and my numbers have come up again. So those 3 supplements that I just showed you are what I'm also daily taking. Again, that's the Daily Probiotic, Renew Life, 80 billion bacteria. The multi-mineral multivitamin, the EMP Power Plus by True Hope. And then I'm also taking the Monolaurin daily. And they come in pellet form. Cost-wise, this one's 60 Canadian. Lasts me about a month or so, typically. And then the Monolaurin, these are $50. Buy it at a natural food store. Again, this lasts me usually about like 3 weeks to a month, somewhere in there. You know, if they work and they're helping me, I'm happy to get them. So along with keeping from overhydrating, making sure I'm not drinking too much water, only when I'm thirsty. And then around times when my numbers come down, I increase my electrolytes by drinking Pedialyte. And then I also made a list here of some other things that I've been doing too that potentially could be helping. You know, I feel that the 3 supplements, along with not overhydrating and the electrolytes, I feel are the main reasons my numbers, I think, are up at a really good level at normal, and I've naturally been able to increase my platelets. But a couple things I think are also maybe helping potentially, so I just wanted to add them. Around the days too that my numbers were coming down, I also took days off of work. I took some days off of work. I work at a local university. I work in the computing science department, helping the graduates, those taking their masters and their PhDs. So the job's not excessively stressful, but I guess there's times when we do have deadlines and things like that, and I don't know if I just get too wound up and just a little stressed out. And so I take some days off when my numbers start coming down, when like they're at 107 or 115. I take a couple days off and I just relax. I make sure I sleep well, make sure I'm eating well. And that's, I think, seems to help a little bit too. Like, I think you got to gauge a little bit if you're stressed out too much. You need to just take some time for yourself, take some days, sleep in, and just be at your own rhythm, where you don't have to be anywhere at any time. You eat when you're hungry. You unwind and you just relax and you're at your own pace. I find that helps. I've been also eating dairy specifically outside of meal times. So at 3 o'clock, I usually have yogurt and a milk break. I've been drinking more so goat's milk lately. I found some goat's milk at Safeway, also down in a couple other locations. You are seeing that more available, and I find that, I guess, a little more pure potentially. So I've been having goat's milk and yogurt, as well as cheese at 3 o'clock daily, and I don't eat that with anything else. And so I usually eat that a couple hours after and before meals, so I'm just strictly having dairy at that time, so my body's just absorbing dairy. From what I'm reading, dairy also can interfere with you absorbing other minerals and vitamins. And so my thought was, okay, I love dairy, and from what I'm reading too, you need calcium from dairy specifically for platelet production, and that's a factor apparently. And so I've been having dairy separately at 3 o'clock, hours after meals and hours before meals, so that I'm strictly absorbing only calcium. And my numbers have been good around then, from what I'm seeing, and so that's something that I've been continuing to do, and I find that helpful. I've also been having green shakes in the morning. I just get whether fresh kale or frozen kale, and I put that along with spinach in a blender, and I blend that up with blueberries, with a banana, with a little bit of cinnamon, just add a little bit of water, and I've been trying to have that daily. I find that's been helping. I avoid stress in terms of, as I was discussing earlier, taking time off. I used to watch the stock market quite a bit, as well as a lot of news. I don't do that anymore, even though I do miss the stock market. It's a lot of fun. I've always been passionate about business, and through our family, I've had the experience to work with family in businesses, and I always enjoyed it. And so the stock market was always something that I really liked, because it was very relative to business, obviously. But I don't watch the stock market anymore. I don't participate. I found it really stressful. I'd really get wound up watching certain stocks and prices fluctuating, and found, you know what, when I don't follow it, I just feel better. I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel stress. So I think that, along with news, which can be very stressful and lots of anxiety all the time, especially now with our situation around the world with the virus, I try to digest as little as possible. I find keeping anxiety very, very low important, so something to keep in mind, and for me it has worked, so I just wanted to mention that. I've also been sunbathing, so now that we're in June and July, when there's sun out, I come out on the patio, or I get outside, and I basically take sun for half an hour, even longer, just staying outside and getting that sun on your body, taking my shirt off and getting sun all over your body. I feel that's been helping. I definitely feel more relaxed after a good session of sunbathing. Exercise, that's another one. Doing squats specifically, I find helps. From what I'm reading too, that helps to stimulate production of blood and things like that. And so I've been doing squats more so, and focusing on legs and and your glutes and stuff like that. Sleep. I've been trying to make sure I'm going to bed, and I'm very consistent about sleeping, getting good hours of sleep, going to bed early, getting at least a good 8 hours of good deep sleep, not restless sleep, or you want to avoid eating too late. That's another thing. I've been avoiding eating late, so that by the time you get to bed, you've digested and you're somewhat light. That leads me to the next, which is fasting. I've been fasting in the evenings occasionally, and I find for sleep that's helped. And around times when my numbers are starting to come up, I've usually fasted an evening or two, and whether that's related or not, I'm not sure. But I know that that day I'll have a nice big breakfast, nice big lunch, so that I'm fed. I got nutrition in, my vitamins, my minerals, all those things. And then in the evening, I won't have dinner, or I'll have maybe a light snack, like a little bit of cereal or something, later in the evening, so that ultimately your digestive system takes a break. It has a light digestion, and things get to heal. Your body isn't in digestion mode all the time, and so you're essentially letting your body, as well as your colon and everything, just like take a nice break, and just relax and heal. So I find the fasting helps in that regard. I've been socializing more as well. Obviously feeling the love from family and friends, I think, is important, and frequently is also important. Helps you to relax. They say that anxiety also comes down quite a bit when you're in groups of people. I guess it's something about survival, in terms of historical, with ancestors, and with I guess animal instincts and survival, is when you're in groups. There's a more of a comfort, because there's a social, I guess, security having many. But socializing and feeling love from family and friends too, obviously, that's great medicine. So I've been trying to do more of that, and I think that's helped, and I wanted to include that. So I'm just going through my list here that I've written. Yeah, that seems to be it. So anyways, just to wrap up, after my last platelet count and video that I had done, which I was quite excited, because naturally I got my numbers up. My numbers had come down again later in May to similar levels at 105, and again I just buckled down and did the same, and it looked like to have worked, with my numbers coming back up again to June 24th, when my numbers are at 196, when originally on May 15 they were at 105. And that was all done naturally. I didn't have to take any steroids or anything like that. But again, I wanted to add a video just to update that, and for anyone following, or coming across my video, wondering how things are currently, I just wanted to update, and that's the latest. So wishing you great health. I hope that you're able to increase your platelets naturally, with maybe a couple suggestions that I've made and some of my previous experience. Yeah, stay healthy, and till the next time, I hope platelets come up and they're nice and strong. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.